रोशनी का कारवां.
This podcast is brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का कारवां, रोशनी. Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.
Hi, my name is George Abraham and welcome to Eyeway Conversations. My guests today are Aarush Bhat, a young and up-and-coming software engineer, and his mother, Anjana Bhat. So, Aarush, congratulations for your good results in the 12th standard exam. I believe you are going to Alberta, Canada. So, tell us a little bit about your course and what you would be doing there and what are your aspirations.
Yeah, so I am going to the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada this fall. I will be pursuing a computer science degree, so I'm basically doing a specialization in software engineering. It's a 4-year course, and yeah, I've honestly always wanted to be like a software engineer because I just love coding, and I would like to make like it's always been my dream to make the world more inclusive and like empowered, and I feel like software and technology in general is can play a very big role in accomplishing that.
So, Anjana, this is going to be the first time that Aarush is going to be staying away from home for a longish period. What are your apprehensions and what are your thoughts?
I am worried, but I am confident. As a mother, I feel that, the mother's heart starts always thinking. But looking at Aarush, the way he has come out with technology, and I know he will manage, and because he has technology and with his mobility skills, he will find out his goal and dreams.
Aarush, how did you get interested in software engineering?
I got into like the world of tech when I was quite young, and like I naturally started developing that interest. And it's an interesting story actually, because I remember when I started learning computers in school itself. I remember I made like this very first website that did something. I don't exactly remember what it was, but I don't know. It was just like this eureka moment, like this feeling that was very satisfactory when like I was able to code this website in 5 minutes, and it was able to do something, like accomplish something, and like it was just super satisfactory when I was able to make things happen that could maybe like benefit people and help people, and that's where the feeling arose. And after that, I my best friend, we started learning to code together because he was like an avid gamer, and he used to also be into like playing games, and that's where he learned to code. And yeah, that's where the interest arose. And after that, when I thought about it more, when I learned more, I felt like it actually really coincided with my dream, which was always to basically, I just wanted to make sure that whatever challenges as a visually impaired student that I had to go through, I wanted to make sure that no student should be that those challenges should not be a barrier for them. After I was like, I wanted to always find a solution. And I think when I actually learned how powerful technology could be, how powerful software could be, I felt like that's when I decided that this was the way to go about it and go about bringing my dream to life, essentially.
You also did a lot of education on technology on the side. Could you tell us a little bit about what these various courses were?
Yeah, so when I was about in 9th grade, I started exploring ways to actually properly learn to code. And how to build softwares, because I wanted to actually move to advanced stuff and actually creating softwares and like not just basic websites. And so yeah, that's basically when I stumbled across resources and very like the good people that guided me, and they showed me this amazing world that I have been pretty much obsessed with and continuously involved with ever since 9th grade, which is the world of MOOCs, massive open online courses. So which are basically essentially these courses that you can do online. that teach you a number of things, pretty much anything from what I've seen, because the course catalog is usually really vast, and like you can pretty much learn anything to very like interactive lectures to these practice exercises, and I find them to be super intuitive and very like educational. So that's what I started to do in ninth grade, is that I took up a MOOC from Coursera, which is a very popular MOOC website, and I started learning Python. So it was Python for Everybody specialization. I remember that was my very first course, and it was taught by Dr. Chuck from University of Michigan, and I absolutely loved the course. I found I learned a lot from it, and I was even like the teachers were super supportive. I could even write to them if there was like an accessibility issue. But usually I also found that the websites were super accessible with a screen reader, which is definitely a benefit. And if they weren't, then they were very eager to have them implemented. So after I did that course and I felt like my skill level actually rose greatly, I started taking up more and more courses, and as many courses as I possibly could from then on. And you also get like certified for these courses, so it's like a very like satisfactory feeling that I have actually I've done this and I've achieved this. And yeah, sometimes the courses can be challenging as well, but like you not only do you learn, you also get the feeling of satisfaction that I overcame this challenge and I learned a lot. So yeah, I've been doing quite a bit of coursework from the Coursera website, and there's another website called EDX that has courses from different universities like MIT, Harvard, and they are also super educational. And I find that my software engineering passion, my skill set has greatly developed from these MOOCs.
Let me ask your mom, Anjana. Now, the 12 years of school and maybe a couple of years of preschool, what did you see the role that you and as a mother and your husband Vinod as a father had to play to actually help Aarush reach where he has reached?
Let me be very honest here. Yes, the challenges were there, but one thing which I feel that today I feel very satisfied. I feel the way Aarush has grown up, because it is just the initial years. It's just the mindset. We always, as a parent, and restrict ourselves, like we in our head it starts like my son or my daughter has a special need. That is just a mindset which I feel, which I have learned through the 18 years of my journey of as a mom. It's initially as a parent, like you need to train your kid and take it that they are they have as the potential as any other kid has. There is no I only feel we should not account about, people talk about disabilities, people talk about, special needs. I feel it is something which is not correct. Every child has its own way of growing up, way of learning up, as a parent, we need to support them during their initial periods. Maybe after class 7th or 8th, you need to give them different skills, you need to give them that confidence, you need to be that support and give them all the exposures and find out what their interest and goal is, and then let them flourish. That's what I did in Aarush's case.
If you know of anyone with vision impairment who needs guidance on living life with blindness, please share the Eyeway National Toll-Free Helpline number 1-800-5320-469. The number is 1-800-5320-469.
I remember your mom telling me a few months ago about your trip to NASA. Would you like to tell us a little bit about this trip?
When I was in 10th grade, I found out about this space camp, this 1-week space camp that the people at NASA, they were organizing, and it was to be held in Alabama, Huntsville in US, and they had this International Space and Rocket Center there. So I got I heard about it from a friend of mine, and he said that you should fill out this form because they also offer 100% scholarships. So it was pretty much a fully paid trip to US for a week. And I was super interested in that because I wanted to learn about space, and I wanted to learn about the technologies being used in space, and I wanted to also network. I wanted to connect with people and learn. So I went ahead and applied, and it was like this scholarship form, and that I find that what it like basically asks you to do is like be yourself and be honest, and that's like what I ended up doing. And yeah, it was kind of unexpected. Like I filled out the form, and a few months later when I had essentially forgot about it, I received the email that I had actually gotten the scholarship. And so in 10th grade around October, I went to space camp for a week, and like it was a quite like enjoyable trip. I think I learned about so many different technologies that are used in the space centers in and on let's say the rockets themselves. And what was amazing is that they were super accessible. They had screen readers built in some of them, in case there were people like, let's say, with visual impairment, and there was stuff written in Braille as well. So I think it was a very educational and super fun trip.
Science and maths often are seen as subjects which blind people are discouraged from doing because of obvious challenges in teaching.
Right. Yeah. So I have always used a computer for my education. Like like I said, from 5th grade, it was like always in school, and that also applies to exams. I have like never used, let's say, a scribe or any other method. I've always done my exams independently. So yeah, so I used to do, like, let's say earlier, I used to do maths on a tailor frame. And when it came to science, my mom would make like 3D diagrams for me, and I would take those to school, and that's how I would learn. And afterwards, let's say from 9th to 10th grade, when it came to more advanced mathematics and sciences, I still I still continued to do that on the computer itself. But in 10th grade, I was actually like, CBSE was not agreeing to let me give my exam on the computer for the boards, and I had to use a scribe. And I feel like that was like a very new experience for me, and it was not a good experience because I was very new to that. So after that, I actually took this like determination to make this my goal, to be able to do math and science independently, though it was like going to be super advanced from 11th onwards on a computer itself. So then I ended up so at first they were not letting me take maths, and even if they let me take maths, they were not letting me do it on the computer. But I had to like struggle a bit, and kind of fight a bit. And I gave them this I told them that they would if they just give me, let's say, 2-3 months of time, I will figure out, and I will show them a way to accessibly do it. And yeah, it took quite a bit of research, because I feel like this field of writing STEM on a computer hasn't been explored as much as it should, because the resources are there. They're definitely there, but I feel like they aren't as back then, let's say 2 years ago, they weren't as known as they seem to be now. Like, let's say what I started doing was I discovered that Word 2019 had a way to write maths using LaTeX, which is a language to basically write like science and mathematics on the computer. And when you it converts to either MathML or different math formats that actually the screen readers are able to read. And I found out that Office, like the Word 2019, actually introduced a feature where even if you wrote like LaTeX, it would autocorrect the maths that was readable without needing to use an external software like MathType. So that's what I started doing essentially. And yeah, it took a lot of practice to learn and master LaTeX and to read the symbols and the equations. But like I kind of try to persevere and work hard on it, and give my best. In those 3 months, I like made myself trained enough and equipped enough that I was able to show my teachers and then CBSE that I was able to write. And yeah, after that I took my 11th, 12th, like I took math and science, and I did it all fully on my computer. And I also gave my boards, as a matter of fact, 12 boards, completely on a computer itself.
Science and maths, there are a number of concepts which people use visual aids to understand and to actually teach, especially subjects like trigonometry and geometry and and mechanics and so on. Uh, so even understanding these concepts, there is a fair bit of visual um, grasp that is required. How did you kind of deal with those situations?
Yeah, so I guess this for me, this was a mix of a few things. So there's also like one thing that I did was using, let's say, the geometry kit that comes for the visually impaired, that lets you draw tactile diagrams on like the sheet of paper, and it's like embossed and you can feel that. But what I did for the most part, I think, was visualize using my own imagination. And to boost my imagination, I used to use like things around me, because I felt like that worked better for me, like 3D shapes, different objects in the room, like let's say my table, the wall, or pretty much anything. I think that worked for me because it was more realistic than drawing like on a sheet of paper. So that's what I usually ended up doing. And I fortunately had super accessible, inclusive teachers that kind of adapted to that pretty quick, and they understood that this is my way of learning. So when they would teach me, like let's say trigonometry, that would involve like XYZ plane, they would teach me, let's say, on a wall that has like all three of those planes, like on the floor or on the table. And I felt like that worked wonderfully for me. And after like a bit of practice, visualizing using these objects in the room, stuff around me, I was just able to picture that, like form a mental map, as it were, in my head. And then after that, I was just able to visualize it without needing like external sources. So I think it's just a matter of practice, but that's the way that it worked for me.
So, coming to you, Aarush, I understand, inspired by the challenges that you faced in school, you have launched a software which is going to help children who are blind who might be going through similar courses in various schools. Tell us a little bit about this software.
It's basically this Windows software that I have launched, which what it does is, so when I started taking up like when I took up advanced math and sciences back in 11th grade, one major challenge, even after discovering the word latex technology, was that some of the symbols, or many of the symbols, let's say the Greek letters or some other like math-centric symbols, they weren't being read out by the screen reader. So NVDA is what I use. It's what I've always used, and it wasn't reading those symbols. And yeah, and I wanted to come up with a solution, because I felt like everything else was working perfectly. Latex was working perfectly, and if I just figured out a solution, I think it would be a perfect way for people to do math and computers. So that's when I basically started writing an actual software of my own. And yeah, I've been working on it as I grew and learned myself, and as I tested it out myself with school and with boards. And now that I've done boards, I feel like it's got sufficient information and data, and I have enough experience that it was ready for release, and it has now been launched. So basically what it does is it has a list of over 150 symbols, and once that software is in the computer of a visually impaired student, their NVDA will easily be able to read all of those maths and science related symbols.
So, what do you call the software?
So it's called Accessi NVDA, which is basically stands for more accessible NVDA. And yeah, it's out. It's on my website, and yeah, hopefully people enjoy it and are able to benefit from it.
What's your website called?
It's inclusionthemotto.com. So that's inclusion THEMOTTO.com. It's all one word, and the software's heading, the software's webpage, they can find a download link as well as a description to the software.
So, Aarush, I believe you have a YouTube channel which you started a short while ago. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the channel was basically, yeah, it's called Inclusion the Motto, which is the same thing as the website itself that have that the software is being launched on. So that's where the whole thing started, essentially, from the YouTube channel. And the idea of the channel was to basically bring people from all different backgrounds and all different, diverse backgrounds together on a platform where they could learn from each other, where they could be empowered and educated. And so yeah, there's quite a bit of interaction videos. There's interviews. There's some videos out that I have given my own take on different topics. And yeah, I hope it's a source of encouragement for people listening. And I will most likely also, as a matter of fact, publish a tutorial video for those who prefer video rather than text on how to use this newly launched software.
Your mother was telling me that while you were in school, you also did several internships with various companies in Delhi. Tell us a little bit about your experience there.
So I ended up doing a couple internships, and I think the most significant one of those would be the one that I did with Vedantu, which is a very popular platform for online education here in India. And I realized when the idea came to me when I was in 11th grade. I had some other friends that were applying for Indian colleges itself, and they wanted to do engineering, let's say, and apply for IIT or other engineering colleges, and they wanted to do they wanted to use online courses to learn, but they found that visually, they were also visually impaired, and these courses, let's say on Vedantu, they weren't super accessible. So that's when I thought, that because when I discovered my way of doing maths and science accessibly, I realized that could easily be translated to all different platforms that currently don't have accessible maths and science. So I thought to reach out to the company, and fortunately, they were super inclusive, and they accepted me as a high school intern, and we worked together to make their content of math and science accessible. And now hopefully it is completely accessible to a screen reader. So I think no other visually impaired student should have any trouble taking up courses on Vedantu from in the future.
To support our work with the blind and visually impaired, you can visit the donate page on our website www.scorefoundation.org.in. Please note www.scorefoundation.org.in.
Coming back to your travel to Canada, how have you prepared yourself in terms of your mobility, your independence vis-a-vis traveling alone and living alone? How are you preparing yourself?
Let's say maybe when I was in 9th grade or so, I did a basic mobility training, and I started going out a little bit and navigating around the vicinity where I live. Getting in area an idea of what my area looks like, and using a white cane. But I, unfortunately, as we all know, after COVID, everything was shut down for 2 years, and yeah, the process technically stopped, and I was also occupied with all these other accessibility related challenges with 11th, 12th, and so I feel yeah, it was definitely a challenge to get back into shape after I was done with boards. But I have tried to contribute as much as I can, and dedicate these 3 months that I have before leaving to mobility. So I've gone out quite a bit using my white cane, and I made use of softwares that like I said, technology keeps growing, and now all the map softwares on the phone have this auditory guidance system where if you set it to walk or drive, it gives you audible instructions on where to turn, on where to go and where different places are. And with that, plus a little bit of vigilance and white cane and lots of practice, I think I think it is possible, very much possible, and you can get around. So yeah, that's what I've been practicing. I've been practicing walking around, my area, and then I started moving to taking cabs to places that were more far away, like visiting friends, for example. And then I moved to metros, and then I went places that were way too far from home, like Connaught Place, Nehru Place. Like these are super far away, 1.5 hour away from where I live. And there I navigated pretty much on my own, with the help of a cane and the map. So I think it's been a very good experience, and it's actually helped me learn and train myself for what's coming up next. So that's basically how I've been preparing myself.
You have developed an accent which is quite maybe optimum for you when you get into Canada. Where did you pick up this accent from? Was this part of your preparation?
No, actually. um yeah, I've had this for quite a while, because I went to the space camp, and I had, like, I was able to make so many connections there, and I had friends from US. And since I've also been doing all these MOOC courses, I was able to connect with professors. I was able to connect with different other students that were from the US. So most of my friends are actually not from India. So I think that's where the accent came from on its own. And it's also like, since I like audiobooks and yeah, different sources, but it's kind of developed on its own, really.
So, Aarush, you've had a fairly exciting life. What are your passions apart from, say, technology and software? What are your other passions that keep you going?
So the first answer that comes to my mind immediately is reading. That's something that my mom got me to it when I was quite young, and I have been obsessed with reading for, I don't know, for the past 12, 13 years. And yeah, I reading has been that support that I needed when I felt down, when I felt like like giving up, or when I felt that I didn't have support or didn't have anyone. Like, reading it's like it's been that constant companion. Like, people say that reading or books are one's best friend, and yeah, I think that's been the case for me. And it's I think something that I hope to never abandon, because it's a lot of the books that I've read have essentially made me into who I am today.
Aarush and Anjana, thank you very much for taking time out. I know you are busy preparing for your journey and your trip, but thank you very much for giving us the time and sharing your experiences and learnings and your dreams. Wish you the very best. All the best to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.
This podcast was brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का कारवां, रोशनी. Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.